Good evening and welcome to episode 12 of WOSFL Weekly, the final WOSFL Weekly of the season. And to celebrate the final episode of the season, I've assembled, Avengers Assemble, the WOSFL team from Pyramid Promotions. So
Who's who then? Who's who?
Delighted. Well, we can discuss. We'll maybe get some comments in the chat. Once I've got a few more viewers, I'll ask them to put it in the chat.
Three balls in a Des.
I know. So PG, Des, Paul Adams, thanks very much, guys, for coming along and joining me on the final episode of the season. Just to say, if you're watching on YouTube, as always, get in touch during the show. Any comments, any questions, if you've got any opinions on your team over the weekend, anything you want to ask us, ask the boys about, we'll do our best to answer. If we say something you agree, disagree with, then again, please put it in the chat and we can talk about it. We'll be available to watch on YouTube after the fact as well, and will be available on audio form and all good podcast networks. Show is brought to you by Roxburgh Insurance Brokers. If you're looking for any insurance coverage, please get in touch with the guys at Roxburgh and they'll sort you out. And also VSN Sport, if you're looking for your club to get some bespoke teamwear, some quality stuff, get in touch with Gary. Details are at the bottom of the screen. As always, we are brought to you by Pyramid Promotions, and if you can, subscribe to the channel, like all the videos, check out all the content that we're putting out, and if you would like to support us by becoming a member, it would be very much appreciated. Doesn't cost a lot of money, and it would go a long way to helping us out, especially as we're kind of coming to the end of the season and we're looking at what we can do over the summer to keep you guys interested, and then also building into next year what we can do to make the coverage even better. Okay, lads. So we'll kick off with the Lowland League playoff. Musselburgh won, Clydebank won. PG, what's your thoughts? What do you think Gordon Moffat, the Clydebank manager, will be thinking after yesterday?
I think he'll be delighted. I think that Musselburgh haven't lost at home all season. They went 1-0 down. They get the goal for Keir Sampson. I think they'll be absolutely delighted. For what I heard, it was the best way to describe Musselburgh, from what I'm hearing, is industrial. They were very, very physical. I actually had it quoted to me by somebody who was at the game as they were like the old Talbot, but without the good players. So I think it's a decent result. I'm fairly certain Moff will be happy with that. Going back to home park with a 1-1 draw, 1,200 people going to be at the game. I really fancy Clydebank next week if they turn up. But Musselburgh have also shown that they're clearly a good side, because Clydebank have been flying. Even after winning the league, they've been flying. So I think that Musselburgh have shown you can't take them lightly. And do you know, I almost think it benefits Clydebank that they didn't win yesterday, because I think that if they had won, there could be a bit of subconscious complacency coming into it. But I think that with the draw, they know they need to go and do the job, and I think that Clydebank will, and I hope they will anyway.
Mm-hmm. Paul, do you agree with PG? Stevie Dugan's just putting in the chat there, Banky's better team, but a difficult pitch. Do you think that going back to home part and playing on the Astro will make a big difference in the second leg?
It's going, isn't it? You mentioned PG mentioned Musselburgh haven't been beaten in that surface all season, but I think, somebody's going to correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a kind of similar situation to Clydebank, apart from obviously Lars going up there at the time after they won the league. But you could maybe put that down to a wee bit of a hangover, maybe just getting the job done. And listen, there's the whole of the West of Scotland League are they're cheering the Bankies on. One, because I think if you were to speak to the Banky support, they feel that they belong in the higher leagues, and for their opponents, they know if Clydebank are in the league next season, it's going to be a hard one. St Rock's did beat you in the cup, but I'm sure that was at the Rock, wasn't it? Or was that at Clydebank?
No, it was Clydebank. It was at home park. Right. But I suppose if we'll maybe caveat it slightly with the league, but I
don't think there's anybody over at the West believing that the Bankies won't go and do it. But what was muted on the build up to the game was look, you seem to all think that the Bankies are going to win it, but they're going to come up against a really, really stuffy Musselburgh side, and that's exactly what they want. And I watched Moff's interview, and Moff said that they could have actually went 1-0 up in the first or second minute, and they got their goal in the 5th minute, so they could have been 2-0 up. And some folk would say that would have maybe been out of sight. You don't know how Bankies are going to react to going potentially 2-0 down, So, listen, they've kept themselves in the tie, and I suppose that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, Des. We were in the studio and we were a bit kind of taken aback when we saw Musselburgh scoring so early on. But I think we both agreed, become the end of the show, that Clydebank would be happy to go back through there without getting beat. So you've got to fancy them next week to do the business, haven't you?
Yeah. See, to be honest, Johnny, as we spoke at the time, this is a 0-0. It's a draw, right? So they've got one game to play for the whole season, which is, in my opinion, it's wrong, because if you win the West and you win the East, you should get promoted, right? I think we're all on that same page. But I think that Moff, bringing it back to home park, they're going to have a massive crowd there next Sunday. I'll be there watching. I think they've got to be confident that they can get it across the line.
I think so, and they'll have every team that's currently sitting 4th bottom in the leagues after the end of the season cheering them on as well. Just round the horn quickly, PG, Clydebank going to win?
I don't want it to sound arrogant, because we did it with Darvel when they played Trinent. We were very arrogant as a region in my eyes. But I think that Clydebank, if they turn up, then Clydebank will win.
Mm-hmm. Paul?
I agree wholeheartedly. I think if Clydebank turn up, and is it the game Sunday, isn't it?
Sunday, 3 o'clock.
Sunday,
Des, have you got a ticket for it?
No yet, but I'll get one.
Well, you might not need to worry about it, Des, because I'm pretty sure you could just do the vlog with me.
Right, we're doing it.
There you go.
We're doing a vlog.
Johnny, are you getting an invite or anything? No, boys.
You boys are always welcome. I'll just need to see if I can.
The amateur team are playing at 3 o'clock next Sunday, man.
Oh, so... big final day of the season, is it?
Aye. Win, we win the league. Draw, we don't win the league. Lose, we don't.
Just
we only get the new tops on then.
That's right. I'm only getting picked up. There's a comment for, sorry Johnny to hijack here, right? We've got a comment for Dougie saying, have you seen the challenge the boy put on Keir Sampson when he scored? So if you can see this, that is the boy absolutely smashing Keir Sampson right in the face as he scores.
Right, so that's a still. Right, so
is he not trying to get the ball?
He's trying to get the ball. He just catches him, but he's smashing him about him.
I think
anything malice in it.
No, he's trying to get the ball. It's just a cracker that he's caught him.
I know it's a cracker of a picture, but you can stop any. You could stop 100 challenges a game and make them look terrible. I think the boys.
Johnny, I've been there.
The ball.
I've
been in that situation. Aye, exactly. But I've been in that situation where you're just trying to get the ball. The boy gets there first. You catch him. Okay, it looks bad because he's caught him in a coupon, right? That makes it 10 times worse. But
it's one of the things.
I can't remember who got the yellow card in the whole melee of it. There was somebody who received a yellow card. I'm not like we can maybe look through the video later on, right? But I'm 100% sure there's a Musselburgh player throw a punch, right? I've looked at it 3 or 4 times, and I genuinely think a Musselburgh player's thrown a punch, and I think everybody's missed it.
Des, question for you. See if does it affect your thinking as a referee if somebody gets battered in the face rather than in the legs?
No, because
it looks worse.
It looks worse, but it doesn't mean it is worse.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got no impact on it, Johnny. That's got no impact. All you can do is you make that decision, and see the most important decision is your next one. So, and I hate people saying about leveling up, and somebody's done something, so we need to level that one up. That doesn't happen. Well, certainly didn't happen with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why I'm sitting talking to you guys. I'm not out on a Saturday.
I know, and Dougie's just saying here about Chris McGowan sent off for absolutely nothing at the end. So he'll be a big loss as well if he's suspended, I would assume.
Yeah,
for next week. So, I know, fingers crossed. I think on the show yesterday, I'd said that I fancy Clydebank to win 3-0. So you're talking about being a bit arrogant, PG. There was me, my West Coast arrogance, putting myself up to get shot down again as usual. Okay, lads, we'll move on to the Scottish Junior Cup semi-final, which took place this afternoon. Saw a couple of videos and things like that. It looked like a fantastic crowd up at the seaside, up at Largs. It's a lovely day. Johnston Borough win 2-0, win 2-1 in aggregate, progressed to the final to play Trinent. Des, what's your thoughts on that? We spoke yesterday. We fancied that Johnston Borough had the quality to go up there on the AstroTurf and it would suit them better than Keaney Park. Maybe that's been the case.
I think that has been the case. I've seen a couple of bits and pieces from it, but listen, you look at Johnston Borough and you look at the quality that's right through the team. I know Arnie and Jonny, you and I spoke about it yesterday. If a team is built on any manager's image, it is Largs with Arnie. But they don't have the quality, they don't have the resources available to them that Johnston Borough do. So it didn't surprise me. And I can only, again, West Coast biased, I just want Johnston Borough to go and win it.
I spoke to one of the Johnston Borough coaches I'm pals with, and he kind of said that, what did they say? It wasn't much of a game, but they had some good quality in the right areas. Divers apparently scored a great goal. Paul, just bits of quality just makes such a difference, doesn't it, at that level, if you're looking for things, especially in a semi-final where you maybe need something just to turn it your way. That wee bit of quality just makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Definitely. And that's why they brought Kieran Diver in, isn't it? That's, let's be honest, that's, I think he's there for a reason.
See, for me, right, actually, I've said I like that. I've mentioned on my own show and other shows and with you guys as well, right? I think the boy Jack and the boy Scott coming in and taking ownership of the club and doing things in behind the scenes with the infrastructure, I think it's all fantastic. But I'm sorry, and I just think for a team that have got player for player, pound for pound, and it might sound a bit mad me saying this on the day that they've went into the Junior Cup final, but I just feel Johnston Borough needed to perform better throughout the season. Now I'm not going to use the 3-0 last week, but against Drumchapel, obviously, because I was there, because it's a nothing game. But I've seen Johnston Borough with a right good squad in the park, and it just no click for them. Now, in a season where Clydebank have get beat once, am I right in saying that? They've been beat once the whole season, right? And I don't know if that happens again in the West of Scotland, but Johnston Borough, player for player, throughout the squad, probably match the best of teams there. And I just feel that they've underperformed a little. Now, they'll be delighted getting into that Junior Cup, undoubtedly. The Junior Cup final, and listen, they'll bring an absolute tremendous crowd. I'm going to say right now it'll probably be a lot of Johnston Borough fans in Broadwood in the first of June, rather than Trinent. Trinent didn't have a huge crowd up at their home park, and I don't think they travel to home park in their numbers against ourselves. So listen, it's all on Johnston Borough to go and get the job done and turn it into a successful season, because 25 points behind Clydebank, just it's a huge gap.
PG, what's your thoughts on that? We know obviously Murdy's signed on for next year. I don't think he would have been under any pressure, but winning a Scottish Junior Cup, if they manage to do it, will certainly give him a lot of kind of kudos going into next season, won't it?
I think, listening to Paul, there's two ways to look at it for the Borough for me this season. The first being they didn't win the first division and came up, finishing top 4, was it 3? They managed to pip Drone, didn't they? Finishing third in the league. You're saying that's a pretty solid season despite the money that they have. And I don't think Murdy's went quite as mental with signings as people would have expected. But I also see what Paul's saying as well. I mean, you're 25 points back with the resources they have. That's for me where money doesn't guarantee you anything. I know Clydebank have spent money, but they've spent money on guys who have done it at this level, and they've also had the core of a team that Moff has built over 4 or 5 seasons. So that's probably where the stability comes. But in terms of the game today, Des, I don't know if you remember me saying it last week on the on the radio about, we were talking about potentially who could be challengers for the league next season, and I don't know if it was yourself that mentioned it, said Largs, but I said I don't think Largs have the mentality to actually win anything. I think that they're a very good side who are able to, they're kind of that disruptor type team, they're able to go and beat everybody, but when it really matters, they don't hold on, and I'd said that I didn't see them getting through this tie, and I think the fact that they've lost 2-0 and to lose it by a goal, maybe, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful because I've spoken Largs up so much, and I really like Arnie, and I think he's done a great job, particularly with the budget he's got. But the fact that they lost it by a goal shows a mentality thing to me, and I think that Largs, despite how good and impressive they can be, they're not a team for winning things yet. They're not quite at that level, and maybe that is a budget thing that doesn't allow them to get the players they want, but I think that they're still a wee bit away from being a team who can win something.
What do they need then?
I don't know. I actually don't know. Because
I would disagree, PG. I would disagree. I think Largs are a cup team. They'll always be in the Premier League, right? They'll always be there because they'll win games, they'll nick a draw away. Barfields is such a hard place to go and get a result. But if you look at their cup record's really, really good.
But what have they won?
No, I know, right? But they're always going to be in there.
They're 100% agree with this. They're that type of team that, see if Largs make the semi-finals or the odd final regularly, it doesn't surprise you. But for me to be that next level,
they're not going to win the league.
I agree, but I don't think that they've got quite enough. Like I said, you see they beat Clydebank 3-0, only team to beat Clydebank in the league, and to be honest, it wasn't a mental shock when they beat them. But I still think that Largs probably don't. Maybe mentality. I feel like I'm maybe being a bit harsh saying mentality, because I think they're quite a strong side when it comes to that, because they probably punch above their weight, but I just feel like they maybe don't have enough about them to go and win something. And as you can see, Johnny, you've just put it up there. Craig McGee said 13 years since they've won a cup.
I love Gucci, man. He's honestly absolutely on the money with his stats, man. Like,
He might not be. It's just that we don't know, so we just think he is.
He's maybe testing us, isn't he? I reckon he's on the money.
I don't disagree, but I just always now assume Largs, and I place Largs in my mind. I place Largs as a Premier League club.
Aye.
They're your Motherwell, your St Mirren.
Aye, definitely.
Always going to be there.
Yep.
Aye. I think I see them as one of those teams that on their day could beat anybody, but on their day could get beat off anybody.
Aye.
And that is like where they're at just now. You know, you're not surprised that they beat Clydebank, but similarly, you wouldn't be surprised if they get beat off Darvel or Shots or something like that.
Look at it, Johnny, right? You've played at a higher level than any of us, right? Do you believe that is a mentality thing? Because in my eyes, at the various levels I played at, see when you've got a team who can turn up against big teams, and then they can also not turn up against smaller teams consistently, then to me that is a mentality thing. Well,
the season I made my debut, right, we beat Celtic in the quarterfinals of the League Cup, we beat Rangers in the semi-finals, and then we get beat off Livingston in the final.
Right,
so that kind of says it all. But I remember the same chat was always going to be about Hibs when we were there until 2007 when they won the League Cup against Kilmarnock. So it's difficult because you're really pleased to be there, but you look on the other side of it. If you look at a club like Auchinleck, who you say have got a rock solid mentality, that's built up over years. You know, Arnie's now been there for 10 years. I think he needs a bit more backing to go and get some better players in and build it from there. You know, I think he's always it always looks to me from the outside that he's kind of no scrambling about, but getting players from here or there. Do you know what I mean? And it would be nice to see him actually get some decent dough under him to go and actually pluck out 3 or 4 real bits of quality and see what he can do with them.
I think that's it. They're kind of 2, 3, 4 players away from being a very, very good team at this level. But financially, they don't have the capabilities to go and consistent. They can bring in like Will Sewell's obviously there, and Will Sewell will score goals at any team in this level. But they've got the benefit of Will went away and it didn't work for him at Steny, and maybe he feels more comfortable at Largs, and he might not move because Largs works for him. But other than that, if they get somebody really good in, within a year or two, they're gone. And that's just the nature of the beast. And it's like Liam Collo in the comments has said they're a typical mid-table club. And in a sense, that seems harsh, but I also think it's quite accurate.
I know, and it's just I think it's about where the lads want to go, where the committee want to go. Are they quite happy doing what they're doing, achieving Premier League football every year, and then getting to the odd cup final because they're capable of doing that, or do they actually want to progress? Because they're at the stage now where, I don't know if you agree, Paul, but they're at the stage now where they're such an established Premier League club. It's a case of, do you want to progress, or are you just quite happy doing what you're doing?
I think given that they're going for the licence, and I'm not 100% sure that if they're going to be guaranteed it after 26, 27, but I don't think they're going to have a choice about it this season. I think if if the committee know that the licence is going to be granted at the end of 26, 27, they're now going to have to be in that top 8. That's the where did they finish? 8th.
8th.
8th. So that would be, finishing the way they have this season would be enough to take them into the new Lowland League, So, you mentioned Largs are a club. Liam mentioned it there, that they're a typical mid-table club. And an extent, I agree with that as well. But they're typically a mid-table club who we all think at the beginning of the season are going to challenge, because we all say it. We always have Largs in the conversation. So,
actually, Arnie messaged me before saying that he quite likes it because he says I nearly have them relegated every year, so he quite enjoys that.
And that's not a bad thing, but there's a lot of people that think Largs will always be there or thereabout. If you were to speak to Adam Hawkes will tell you it's the hardest 3 games that he's played this season.
Yep.
Right, okay. Quickly round the horn. Des Roach, Scottish Cup, Junior Cup final, Johnston Borough v Trinent. Give me your winner and score.
I will go 3-2 Trinent.
Who's going first?
Right, okay, you go PG. 3-2 Trinent. Okay, Des.
I'm going 1-0 Trinent.
Oh, Paul Adams.
I've seen Trinent twice, and I wasn't. We get put out 3-2 in aggregate. I wasn't overawed by them, other than the first 20 minutes at Trinent. I thought first 20 minutes at Trinent, first 15, 20 minutes at home park. I thought other than that, Dumchapel were the better of the 2 teams. I think Johnston Borough, I think they'll pull it out of the bag. Score, don't know. Potentially, does it go to extra time and penalties, or does it go straight to penalties? I can't remember.
Probably go straight to penalties.
Right. Well, I'll call it. It'll be a close win for Johnson. Borough, or it'll go to penalties, and it'll just be the lottery of that. But Johnston Borough for me.
Okay, mate. I think Johnston Borough win 2-1. Right. Okay, so we're going to crack on through the leagues now. Just to mention to everybody that's watching, again, thanks for all your comments. Liam, by the way, yes, that was that final. Thanks. I'm trying to forget about it. But we're going to run through the leagues. We'll talk about promotions and relegations. I know there's been loads of kind of managerial changes and managers leaving and so on and so forth. But lads, if you don't mind, we'll kind of circle back and we'll kind of tackle them at the end, if that's all right. We'll just rattle through the leagues quickly, and then we'll come back to them, okay? So if we start with the Premier League just quickly, I know it didn't really matter in terms of standings, but Pollock beaten off Auchinleck 3-0. Moves Auchinleck up to 60 points, which we were looking at on the show yesterday, that's what Beath won the league with last year. So another solid season for Auchinleck. But Craig again was stats in the chat, just talking about Pollock, who 5 regular starters announced as being away. Maxi on the bench. PG, how do you feel about Pollock next year?
I think I said it last week as well, and it's a weird one for me because obviously Dax at Pollock, and I really wish them well. And like, I made my junior debut best part of 20 years ago playing beside Maxi, my very first junior game. Set up his goal that day when we drew 1-1 with Clydebank with Rob Roy. But see, if I was Maxi, I'd walk. I don't know if he'll get a bigger job than that. He probably won't. But I think he's done. I don't know what else he could have done this season. They are like they're such an inconsistent team because they now have a budget that is less than some of the first division teams. Their parks, no through any fault of anybody involved with the club or anything, but the pitch is terrible because of mitigating circumstances with that, which is again out with our control at this time. I think, did somebody say it? Did you put up Maxi on the bench?
Aye,
And we'll have a
5
difficult
players
job?
away. 5 players already confirmed as away, and Maxi
Right,
was on the bench.
Fordy's obviously away, right? So that's guaranteed away. I don't see. I think they'll be lucky to stay in the league next season. I genuinely think they'll be lucky to stay in the league. And I tell you, it's great seeing, on the flip side, it's great seeing Talbot really starting to turn around, and Craig's talking about them having the average age of 22, which is really exciting and impressive. Hopefully they don't have the same poor start they've had the last couple of seasons next season, because I think they could really go and win the league.
Kyle Faulds and Ben Fry are the 3 that were announced maybe an hour or 2 ago. I think Ben's a big loss. I think Ben's a great goalkeeper.
Do you know, I don't think Ben's had a great season this season, though, but I do think he's a good keeper. But I think that it's just, see if Maxi stays, I think he's got he thought this season was tough. I think the next season will be even harder.
Des, we spoke yesterday, and I think we both kind of said that we thought Maxi would stay. That was before, obviously, we heard what was going on yesterday in terms of players leaving and himself being on the bench. Do you still feel that, Des, or have your feelings changed?
Obviously, Maxi and I are friends. We speak quite regularly. I think Maxi's got in him to stay and try and fight it out, because that's what he's done with Rob Roy. When he's basically taken his job at Rob Roy and he's taken to Pollock, hasn't he? That's pretty much what he's done.
That's why Pollock appointed him.
Yeah, and to try and get it to firefight. I would say, in my opinion, that it's entirely up to Maxi if he wants to stay. I don't think the Pollock committee and the Pollock upper echelons should have any influence on what's going to happen. But see if Maxi doesn't stay, who are they going to appoint? And as Paul quite rightly said, what is their expectations next year? Because their budget's down. Could you imagine Pollock back in the first division? That'd be a massive loss to our game.
Their expectations will come off the back of who's going to be the manager, who they'll be able to entice into the club. And
there'll still be loads of applicants, Paul. There'll be loads of people interested in it. I mean, you see that the rumours were Bells Hill when they appointed. I've gone Jonny as the manager. There was apparently over 30 people applied for that, and I've heard that's the way it is for most clubs. But it's like you said, Paul, the calibre of who they're going to get, because you're not getting a proven manager at this level. I don't think. I think it'll have to be something a bit more outside the box, and it's horrible to see, because like when I came into the game, Pollock were by far the biggest club at the level, by far the best team, and they've been. Let's be honest, they're not a big team anymore. They're a big name, but they're not a big team anymore.
Not a big team, 100%.
They'll be lucky to stay in the league next season.
See, when I used to get an email on a Tuesday morning telling me my game at the weekend, and if I had Pollock at home going to Newlandsfield, that was a massive. Wow. I don't think that holds it anymore.
No,
I know, it'll be interesting. And on the flip side, Paul, looking at Auchinleck, I really fancy Auchinleck to be proper challengers. I think they could be favourites for the league at this stage right now, while they finish the season. What do you think?
We're going PG, Paul, me.
You.
Too early to say for me. I think Auchinleck Talbot. I think Tucker is a sensational manager. Been there, done it, wore the t-shirt, and I think a lot of managers are annoyed the guy. But in a season where last season, I think they showed with their signings, and you were kind of going, it's not really a Talbot signing. But they just seem to do it and do it and do it all the time, getting into finals. Maybe not winning them, right? There can only be one winner at a final, and it can't be Talbot all the time. Do you know what I mean? But I think they've got to be in consideration, and I think it all depends for me on what the Borough going to do next, right? Because this will be the third season, and I've heard rumours that they will really push it again because I think they've got issues with their floodlights because it's on the Glasgow Airport run. I think that's a stumbling block for the licence. But I think if they know that that's going to be in place and they know that that's not going to be a problem, I think they'll go out and they'll spend some money, more money. And I think Auckland like Talbot, the question that you asked is, I think they'll be there or thereabouts like they always are. Right. It'll be interesting to see how Beath recover, because since Straney went out, Sean's went in, the results just haven't been good enough. Sean's went. It'll be interesting to see who takes over there. I think whoever takes over.
We know.
Mick Dunlop's got a job a day.
Did he? Well, there you go. My bad. That's what happens when you're out with the veins watching amateur football on a Sunday. You lose sight of the west of Scotland. Right, okay. Mick, I love you to bits, and I don't mean any disrespect, man. But...
Well, we'll come back to it.
Right, okay, mate. Okay.
By the way, just on we're talking about Beath winning in 60 points last season, they had a plus 29 goal difference. Talbot 60 points this season plus 34. So technically, obviously,
they'd win the league.
They'd have won the league with it.
I just think for me, like what, and Craig was talking there about the average age being 22. I think you look at signings this year, and it's just been kind of slowly until it's all kind of clicked into place the last 3 months of the season. And I don't think that there'll be mass changes over the summer. I think you might see one or two, but I think he'll keep that squad together, and then they'll progress again on next season. I think so.
Other than the cup final against East Kilbride, when was the last time Auckland like Talbot got beat?
I'll have a look now.
You have a look.
Craig McGee will have it fired on in 2 seconds.
So, okay, so if we're going to the first division, there's only one place to start. We've got a man in the bottom corner there with a Renfrew top on who was hot-footing it out after his best Tony Blackburn impression yesterday in the studio, hot-footing it over to New Western Park to celebrate with Jimmy Quigley and the boys at Renfrew. How was it over at New Western Park last night, Des?
Oh, it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The place was, as you can imagine, the place was bouncing. I only stayed for half an hour or so. Spoke to Danny McClay, the goalkeeper, spoke to Quiggs, spoke to a lot of the guys, and yeah, the places they didn't. And what will come through is, in talking to the guys, is they were disappointed that they get beaten. That was the big thing. But the bigger thing is we got promoted. So that was it. But yeah, Jimmy's under no illusions. He's got a big job ahead of him again. But for me, that's the fairy tale of the season.
Des, just on that, I was about to say to you, because I know we had a wee bit of jiggery pokery about it. What's the bigger achievement? Jimmy taking Renfrew into the Premier, or Ross Cusick taking Muirkirk up?
I'm going to be biased, right? Ross has done brilliant, and Muirkirk.
There's any question with Renfrew involving Renfrew that he's not going to answer Renfrew. Who's better, Renfrew or Real Madrid?
See, if I'm being honest, I'm with Des on this. I think Jimmy taking Renfrew up is a bigger achievement than Muirkirk going up, and that's like, you know how much we've spoken about how amazing it's been with Muirkirk. I think that Jimmy taking Renfrew up is bigger than Muirkirk going up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a preference, to be fair. I think the job Jimmy's done is incredible. Nobody in their right mind would have had Renfrew going up for that first division this season. And listen, you could tell me face to face, I wouldn't believe you. I honestly wouldn't believe you. And that's no disrespect to Renfrew.
You've been pipped, Paul. You've been pipped there. You've been pipped.
I met most of the boys yesterday.
If that's there, if Liam's put that up after you've announced that, there's no way Liam's putting that up in this channel without because I know how
So
to
I think the job Jimmy's done at Renfrew is incredible. Just talking about the other teams that are going up, we know Atherley's won the league, but PG Rutherglen, I don't know if we speak maybe as much about Rutherglen as we do other clubs on the show, but it's a great achievement for them to bounce back and get themselves back in the Premier League, where they've been before and kind of bounced kind of back and forth between the first and the Premier League, but getting them back up in the Premier League, great achievement.
Do you know the thing for me with Glencairn this season is the character they showed at the end of the season? They obviously started brilliant, and everybody was saying, well, I know they finished the top two anyway, but everybody was saying, well, it's Atherley or it's Glencairn that's going to win the league. Quite a lot of you thought Glencairn were going to win it. Then, for some reason, after that great performance against Cowdenbeath in the Scottish, it took a bit of a nosedive, and they were under a bit of pressure. And it's similar to Renfrew, where it was their form for kind of February time that got them promoted. And I think that's maybe a sign of the character they've got, that they were actually able to see it through. So I think they've had a tremendous season. And in that division, they lost. You look at the top four, Atherley lost 6, Glencairn lost 6, Renfrew lost 7, Cowan lost 7. There's a reason they were the top 4. Because in that league, losing 6 or 7 games is good enough to probably get you winning it. And I think they've had a really good season. Something they should be really, really proud of themselves, that they showed the character that they did when they started to get written off, maybe Christmas time.
Mm-hmm. Aye, definitely. And I know they had, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago, they get beat 4-3 off Renfrew at home, and Renfrew scored in the last minute, which would have been an absolute sickener to dust yourself down and come back from that is a massive achievement to get that final promotion spot. Just touching on the team that missed out, Paul Adams co-winning. We've spoken the radio yesterday, and we said finishing 4th, well, they'll be really gutted not to get one of those promotion spots after being top of the table and so on. Finishing 4th in Kevin Kelly's first season is still a good achievement.
It's an incredible achievement. Obviously, we had Kevin on one of the earlier build-up shows, and I asked him what his remit was, and he was very honest, very open with us, and he said, look, the committee have just said to us to make sure we consolidate our place in the first division. Maybe Cowan are now realising, listen, Cowan are a big club, and there's a lot of people out there that will see them as a Premier Division club, a Premier League club, but there's people out there that feel that that's the same with Kilbirnie and various other teams. I think there's now a realisation maybe with the co-winning committee and the people in and around the club that the first division is where they're at the moment. They've got a young manager who is obviously talented at what he does, and he's hungry, and to not go up in goal difference, I don't know if Kevin will be watching, but I would imagine that he'll be gutted. No manager's going to say they're not gutted. They're finishing 4th in goal difference, and they got that penalty to go 1-1 yesterday, and there must have been a bit of hope after that, to go on and get the win. I think I spoke to Ben, who is the guy that leads our media team, and he said on any other day they would have probably beat the Rock 5-1, 6-1, but football, in it, it's that old saying, it's football, and the three teams have got to go up, and this season it's Atherley, Rutherglen, and Renfrew, and congratulations to the 3 of them. Well done.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll move on to what was the most exciting division going into yesterday, as the 4-horse race going into the final day yesterday, which was incredible sport for the league. PG Neilston managed to win the league with a 2-0 victory away to Yoker. Andy Whiteford, league champion. It's to bounce back after getting relegated last year to go up as champions. Brilliant.
That was unbelievable. See, to be honest, we're talking about the first division there and how we had Glencairn tipped right at the start to win it, and then it looked like they were going to go away, and then I'd put my mortgage on Renfrew no making it until they had that crazy run at the end of the season. Neilson were another one who did a really poor start with the first couple of games, and then were absolutely flying. I can't remember where it was like 12, 13 wins on the bounce, and then they started to fall away. And I think the fact that they were able to show the real character at the end was quite impressive. Again, similar to Glencairn when I was talking about it earlier. They were really dogged at the end of the season, and they lost a lot. They lost pretty much all their games to the teams about them. But there's a lot to be said for the fact that you've basically taken full points off the other 14, 15 teams in the league, and it was enough for them. And I think they've had a great season, and it's what the club probably needed, because obviously last year was quite a tough one, and they've obviously had some issues, and Andy's really steadied the ship. So I think a massive, massive achievement for them, because it's no who had a tip to have won the league, and I think that they can be really, really proud of that end of the season again, like I'd said about Glencairn.
Yep, and congratulations to everybody connected with Neilston. Des, we were in the studio, we were talking about Lanark v Whitlets, and we both fancied, just with the fact Lanark were at home, we fancied them to get the victory. And Whitlets' away form recently wasn't maybe the greatest, but that's an incredible result, going up to Lanark and winning 2-1 to seal your promotion.
Yeah, I didn't think that for a moment. I predicted Lanark. I thought Lanark were going to win the league. Well, also we knew Nielsen were away to Yoker, so that was going there. But yeah, massive win for Whitlets, and they'll have massive expectations for next year as well, going forward. I don't think they will just settle for being a team that's want to be in the middle of the league. I think they'll be wanting to push and strive, go forward. But let's just see how it goes. But yeah, no, full credit to them. They got the job done. That's when the new management team came in. That was a remit, get us up, and they've done it. So let's see what happens next season.
Yeah,
two of the teams that went down actually. PG mentioned that Nielsen got up at the first time I asked, and Whitlets went down as well.
Yeah. And I know you've had Daryl Meikle on the show, Paul, haven't you?
I'm friendly with Daryl.
It's a sore one, but I think for Lanark, they were kind of the fourth wheel, if you like, and then they just came with an incredible run towards the end of the season, and they've obviously just missed out. How do you think Daryl's going to? I can imagine how he'll be feeling, but it's going to give him confidence going into next year and thinking that they can go on and go one better next year.
I think what people need to remember about Lanark is they came up last year. So they weren't in that division last year. They came up last year, and Daryl's done an incredible job. Out of the four teams that were chasing, that Lanark were in, they were the form side. They'd won, I think, 7 out of 7 or 6 out of 7 or something like that. So, listen, I was with you guys. I thought Lanark, I actually thought Whitlets might have just pooped the bed, and because the way it looked, it certainly looked like that. I know, obviously, Muircut conceding that 97th minute goal to Cambuslang Rangers a week before that really put a bit of pressure on Ross. And I spoke to Ross through the week, and you could tell the way he was talking, and you knew he was just wanting. I felt like Ross just wanted the Saturday to come. I think he felt really confident that they were going to go and do it. Daryl's quite a humble guy. He knows that his squad's good enough to go and do it. Ultimately, they've just missed out. Would they have thought that they would have been there 3 or 4 months ago? I don't know. But listen, a valiant effort for a team that won the third division last year to back-to-back promotions. Getting promoted, winning leagues isn't easy, but doing it, getting a double promotion would have been incredible. I'm sure he'll be delighted just to go and get a break now and get back to it for next season, maybe 5 or 6 weeks time.
Yeah, he sure will. And last but not least, PG, the fairy tale Muirkirk securing that promotion. I think I was so impressed with that result yesterday, because we know it's not easy to go to Larkhall. Whitlets went there a couple of weeks ago and get beat. It could have been a real sticky tie for them. So to show that character to go and win that and secure promotion, Mason saying in the chat there that it's the 41 years since they last got promoted. It's just incredible. I'm so pleased for Ross Cusick and the guys at Muirkirk.
Unbelievable achievement. And Mason's completely right. Ross is a club legend now. They're a club who has had little to no success pretty much in their history, in a sense, and this is massive. It might not be the trophy, but I think for Muirkirk, it's unbelievable. I mean, they've been for as long as I can remember, barring the odd season or two where they were all right at the level, they've been pretty much a whipping boy for years. And I think that Ross has done a tremendous job. Now, there's a lot of, this isn't me trying to get Ross out of job at Muirkirk, but there's a lot of jobs coming up, and there's a lot of movement happens no long after the start of the season as well. See if you're a club maybe in the first division or bottom end of the Premier League, you need to start looking at guys like Ross. And I mean, I'm not saying Ross would go, Paul would go for Ross, but he's already beaten them this season in the Cup, showing that he can work with a small budget. And I understand it's a different level, but I think it's been an unbelievable achievement. It's done so well with a group of young guys as well, and it's sensational for him, the club, and the village.
See, the thing is, when
I mentioned it yesterday to Johnny, I'm saying the team that have got him there, these young guys, they're not young anymore. They're probably about, Johnny, what you and I were talking about, they're probably about 23, 24. They've probably got 100 games behind them. Clubs are going to be looking at these guys, aren't they?
Aye, definitely. I think
they're going to be looking at these guys.
I spoke to Ross I had Ross on this show a few weeks ago. I got the impression that just talking to him, I don't think his head would be turned by a bigger club. I really don't. I don't know if I'm reading him wrong. I don't know him at all. I've only met him that once, but see, having that chat with him, I just thought he's happy at Muirkirk. He's no one of these mad ambitious coaches that wants to go and do this and go and do that. He's got a really good thing at Muirkirk. He really enjoys it. He's worked with the players for so long. I don't know if his head would be turned. I'm not sure. Paul, what do you think?
No, I think he's a very. I was going to say, what was really sort of more fairy tale for me, as well as the promotion. Ross's son scored one of the goals yesterday as well, which I think is outstanding. You know, your son helped me on your way to promote. I couldn't think any better if my wee man did that. You know, if I was a gaffer of a team, I'd be absolutely loving that. You know, I think that's it. I think just the whole Muirkirk thing, like November 20s, 2 years ago, adding in the experience of the boys like Sempe and the boy Doyo, a few other players that they've signed as well. Muirkirk are never in that chat, and Ross has now proved us wrong. I don't think. Listen, he's a. I think Ross stays up East Kilbride, I'm sure, right? So I'm not convinced. They train in Govan. They train across from Ibrox. Most of their boys are Glasgow based, so you know, even if he was offered it, it's not like you can turn around and go, you're miles away, Burnside Park's a trek, you know, because it's only twice they need to do that every month. So listen, very, very congratulations to them. A job very well done. And I think PG said people might, you know, look at him, but I think he might stay. It's the same with the likes of Sean Kenny and stuff like that as well, isn't it? You know, these gaffers are going to be sought after. I don't know if it's right to bring this up in the show. Is Bailey got a new job, Bailey Hanlon, or is it just what?
No, it was to try and grow his coaching business that he left, apparently.
Right. Fair enough, right? Okay, that's fine, because I think Bailey is one of those ones that's to be watched, you know, and the fact that he's still, you know, involved in football some way. But
see if Bailey did well, he has enough time in the bank that in 20 years' time, he's only in his mid-40s. Who's to say that Bailey could not go as far as you can possibly go at this level? Not even this level, sorry, the next level. Who knows?
When our Tam Courts, couldn't he?
Martin Fellows as well.
Aye. So good segue there, Paul. Thanks very much. We'll hop into the third division. Des, we were watching the scores come through. We knew that Thorn had obviously won the league. Kilsyth were going up with them, but the third place still had to be secured. And Thrieve welcomed Vale leaving down the road and absolutely battered them. I think they were 5-0 up after 20 minutes or 25 minutes or something like that. So not just that, but they went to Glasgow United on Monday and won comfortably, went to Irvine Vicks on Wednesday and won comfortably, and then battered Vale leaving at home. It's just perfect week. They've done exactly what they need to do, and congratulations to Thrieve.
Yeah, I think we're all surprised when we've seen the score come in so heavily so early. It just now depends on the availability and players, because obviously they're a wee bit out the way of the West of Scotland League. So it just be I'll be interested to see how they can cope next year with the extra demands and who they can attract and where they're going to attract them from. But no, congratulations to Threave. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Congratulations.
Threave will do what they've always done. They'll pick the best players for the south of Scotland, mate. That's exactly what they'll do. The best players down there are more than capable of competing. I know that the teams, I know team for team, if they were to play some of our second divisions and things like that, they would maybe struggle a little bit. But I think what Threave have got is that they are a club that's growing, a club that are doing good things. And if you're playing your football in the south of Scotland, I'm assuming Threave's the place you'd want to do it. So I genuinely think they'll be fine. I don't think they'll really look at this neck of the woods for players. And I know players, I don't know where they train, but I would imagine it'll be down close to their part. So I can see Threave. Somebody said in the comments, I'm not too sure, Threave coming up and Thorn coming up, that there'll be two really good additions to the second division, and I think they will. And listen, I wouldn't be surprised if Thorn and Threave are, in that top 8.
PG, we had that chat with Des yesterday in the studio. What do you think regarding Threave?
See, I think Threave have been fortunate in the sense that who they got the last 5 games of the season. They had Lugar, they had Perthshire, Glasgow United, Irvine Vicks, and Vale leaving yesterday. I think things fell well for them, but at the same time, so over the course of 30 games, they've got more points than Greenock, so they've obviously deserved to go up. I think Threave have a bit of a ceiling. I think that they'll be a great addition, like Craig had said in the comments. I think they'll be a great addition to the second division, and they could even potentially go up. But I also think that the first division is as far as Threave will go, because of the reasons you have said, Paul, where it might be a benefit through the lower leagues, where they can pick the best players from the south, but the south isn't brilliant. It's not brilliant, and the very, very good players down there, they go to Annan, they go to kind of Queen of the South or whatever, Stranraer. They go elsewhere or they go further away. You know what I mean?
And that's where I believe it as well. Because if you are of a level to be playing at that level, you're not playing with Threave. You're going to Annan. You're going to Queen of the South. You're going to Stranraer, and that's where I think that the glass ceiling might be hit. And listen, I hope it doesn't. I really, because you want to encourage any team to be ambitious and to move forward. But I just think locality is. You look at Stranraer with the other team. Every player that plays for Stranraer, nobody plays. Nobody comes here. They all come from the Central Belt, isn't it?
Aye, no, definitely. I'm good pals with Scott Agnew, the former Stranraer manager, and I met him a couple of weeks ago at a local amateur game, and we were talking about the difficulties of attracting players down there and what you need to invest to try and get boys to travel down there. And Threave will probably experience the same. But as you guys said, I think they've got everything set up to be up challenging next year in the second division. So PG, we need to go into the fourth division, I'm afraid, mate. We need
I'll please later.
We need to talk about it. What's your thoughts? Give me the Port Glasgow thoughts.
I think that Eglinton were bought by Knightswood and threw the game. They made it one each to make it interesting, and then absolutely threw the game. It's a disgrace. No, in seriousness, obviously Eglinton have not done that. Knightswood have earned it. I said it before on the radio, where they beat the Port twice, so they've earned it. And it might have been really tight at the end of the season. They had a tiny, and it's not even like it was a bad run. They just had a wee blip, and it was enough to allow the Port to get back in. But Knightswood, they've deserved it. They've been really good this season, and I think that worthy winners, beating the Port twice, completely deserve it. The Port, for me, Tam's had a great season, and I think that they will be a decent side in the third division next year. I really hope that they could maybe try and push to get promoted. Whether that happens, I'm not sure, but I think that the best season the Port have had in years. I mean, and I think that's down to Tam and Alec, the fact that they've been able to add a bit of youth into the experience, because obviously they had Midge is still there. I don't know if Midge will play next season, despite him nearly running a 60-minute High Rocks in Berlin yesterday. He's still unbelievably fit at like 42, but don't know how much longer he'll play for. Mark Miller's left, Gary Pettigrew, the club captain, Petty's probably finished as well. So they're a team who are going to have to rely on the younger players coming through, and you've got boys like Sean Rogers and stuff who the season he's had's been excellent. So I think that Port Glasgow will be more than happy with their season, but Knightswood deserved winners for me.
Yeah, and on Knightswood, Paul, we were talking there about three even potential challengers in the second division, and I know I spoke to Michael Pender and he was talking about the kind of 5-year plan they've got at Knightswood. Would you expect to see them up challenging the third division next year?
I think it all depends on if they continue to do what they've been doing. It's been documented that they spent a bit of money in that division, and that's fine. If they go into the third division, do the same. I suppose that you need to look at a player of a different level then. You know, are you going to go to a team in the first division and, you know, try and entice them with a wee bit of extra cash? I don't know. Michael Pender's a great coach, and everything that I hear about Michael's always been positive. So if they're being coached right, if they're looking after themselves, if they're bringing in the right players, then, you know, why won't they? Who went down for the second division again?
Irvin, Vix, Vela leaving, and Wishaw. Second division. So that was the third division.
I meant who went second into the third.
Second into the third was the Ants,
Craig Mark,
Yoker, and Craig Mark.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there's two this season. There's two division differences between the clubs, but I don't think that. I don't know where Yoker are going to go. I said when I was in the studio with you guys, I think we had a wee iffy about it. I don't think, if I remember rightly, I think Des and PG thought that they would maybe be okay, and I just wasn't for it. I seen them kind of going downward, and that's what's happened. And for what I'm hearing on the outside, it's not a great place to be at the moment. So they're obviously going to have to pull themselves together. Knightswood getting into that division along with Kello and sorry, help us out here, guys. Kello, the Super Port. I just think that it will be another competitive league next year. I don't know. Knightswood top 6. Where we go with that?
Definitely. See if Knightswood keep what they've got and add a wee bit to it. Definitely, they'll be competing.
So
we mentioned the third spot there.
I would think that Knightswood going up is just a continuation of where they've been. I'm sure they're going to keep most of their squad together. Port as well. Tam will have them. Port are going to be a hard team to beat. I would anticipate both teams being competitive in there. And if they can go in there in the first season and stay mid-table, I think that's pretty much success.
Aye. Yeah. And Kello getting that third spot, that's an amazing achievement. Again, a club we probably don't talk about, maybe just due to location, and I don't think they're the most forthcoming social media and things like that. But Des, great achievement, getting relegated last year and coming straight back up. Brilliant.
Oh, amazing. Absolutely brilliant. And again, Kello's like a team like Muirkirk. It was like a club that was always expected not to be up there and challenging. So no, absolutely brilliant. Ross Wilson's the last one.
Go to on a Wednesday night. It really is, man.
Aye, probably is. I always remember going down to Kello, and it was always that way. You go, how did I get there? You go to Glenafton. It's not the end of the world, but it's next to it.
Yeah.
I know. It's the middle of nowhere. They actually offered me the manager's job once, and I turned them down. Lucky for them, I turned them down. So that's great. That's us kind of covered the leagues, promotions, relegations. Well done to all the promoted teams. Absolutely brilliant. For all of them, we look forward to seeing what happens over the summer. Right, Paul Adams, give us your Michael Dunlop to Beath take. Come on, it's been bubbling.
No, listen, Michael's a great guy. That's left field for me. I think it really is. I thought B. I don't know what I was expecting there to be honest with you. I don't know. You hear rumours, don't you? And then you just say it's like, is it a left field appointment? I don't know. He's obviously been in the Premier League. He's done it. He's won the league with Gartcairn. I think what Bede need is stability. I think that Mick will offer that. Mick will also have built up some really good contacts at his time with Gartcairn as well. But it's another big job for him. You know, he'll not be. It's, you know, at Gartcairn, they've spent a bit of money there. They've brought in some right good players. The expectancy of him at Beath, listen, they've won 2 out of the last 3 seasons. See if your committee's not saying to their gaffer, like, we want to go out and be as competitive as possible and, you know, potentially be up there at the end of the season, then what's the point of being there? So I think straight away Mick will be expected to be up there and doing a good job for Beath. So listen, good luck to Mick. Obviously it's not worked out for Sean. And we'll see where it leads next year. Hopefully that's another team that are trying to get their license as well. So hopefully he'll be vying for a top 8 spot.
PG, what's your thoughts?
I don't know. I'm on the fence with it. I speak about the likes of Ross and Sean Kenny's been mentioned and stuff like that for getting opportunities where teams maybe have an arrogance in the higher leagues where they just stick to the same types of manager. Mick's still pretty young as a manager. I think that the first season he was at Gartcairn when he got them promoted, I think it was a tremendous job he did. But then it never kicked on for there. And with the budget and with the squad he had, Gartcairn was a failure for me. And I appreciate it was really unfortunate for Mick when they got the deduction because it wasn't his fault. And it really impacted their season. But after that, they were the worst team in the league. I mean, they were awful with the quality they had. I'm not necessarily saying that's Mick's fault because I don't know how it's been behind the scenes. But I don't think it's a terrible appointment. I genuinely don't think it's awful. I don't think Mick will not get them relegated or anything like that. But I just feel I'm unsure about how it will go. I'm not really sure. I think they're on a club who are on the way down in terms of how the last few seasons have been, and I think that's pretty obvious to see after 2 league titles, and then this season was pretty poor for them. But I don't know. I don't know if Mick's the man who's going to really turn it right around. But I think we spoke about this before with Straney. I think you're also seeing how good a manager Straney was. That it's went downhill since he's left, and it was the same at Cowan. So I think that I went a massive detour just to say I'm not really sure. I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying, mate.
Interesting question for Craig here, saying is there a bit of snobbery that don't allow managers, especially not established as players, getting jobs with the bigger clubs? Des, what do you think about that? Do you agree with Craig?
There probably is. There probably is, but just because you're a good player doesn't mean you're fit for a manager's position. Going forward with Mick, I'm quite surprised Mick's taking that job. Now, I know Mick, and PG knows him, and Paul knows him. I know him personally. I've obviously the dealings with him playing football and managing football. I don't think B's a good fit for Mick at this moment in time. And I know PG's sort of tried to eke it out and no come on the fence. I don't think it's a good fit. I don't think B has got enough behind them that can substantiate what Mick's ambitions are. So and that's not been bad to Mick. That's not been bad to Mick at all.
How many people do you think they would have interviewed? Because the advert only went up 6 days ago. So how much time is there to interview? Because you said at the beginning of the show, PG, these teams tend to normally get 30, 40 applications. Right. Mm-hmm. So when you're sitting with 30, 40 applications, a committee could probably look at it and go, nah. So have they looked at 5 or 6 and goes, probably the best candidate for us? You know what I mean? Listen, Mick, as we say, he's a great guy. I think I agree with Des. It's for me, it's a little bit underwhelming, but not for Bede and not for Mick. Just the two doesn't seem to fit for me personally.
Oh, what I was told when Mick went for the Gartcairn job was he was interviewed as a courtesy to somebody who was pals on the committee.
Aye, that's been muted before, hasn't it?
Right, so he was interviewed as a courtesy and did such a good interview that he got the job.
Aye.
So it sounds to me like there's a potential that that's happened again, because Mick's went in and he's clearly a good talker and got himself
He's
a
done
job.
a good job in First Division as well. Like, you know, he got Galcairn out of that league as
It was an excellent job he did in the First Division. In the Premier League, not so much, but it was an excellent job in the First Division, definitely.
No, it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next season. So we found out tonight that Kevin Rutkovic was stepping down at Atherley due to personal reasons. So we wish him well, whatever's going on off the park. And they've just announced that they've appointed Willie Dyer as manager. PG, what's your initial reaction to that?
Delighted for Willie. Great guy. Me and Paul both know Willie pretty well. For our time at Drumchapel. He's just a really good guy. I don't know how he'll get on as a manager.
Good guy, good coach, and he's played at high level.
What's he been doing?
Really
What's he been doing up till now?
He was at drum coaching and then he stepped back. I'm not sure what he did after he stepped back, but
Glasgow United.
So there you go.
The thought process there was that he was looking at an inroad to maybe go and being his own person, and that's very hard to do at Drumchapel given the ownership and things like that. So I think that's what's happened, and I don't think what's been alluded to is he's been in Atherley's dugout for the last 4 games. So I don't think a lot of people actually know that. So I think Atherley have, you know, given their situation. Obviously, I think Dinky resigning or leaving due to family reasons has made it an easier decision. Dinky and Willie Dyer are very good pals as well, so it's probably a natural thing to happen. I think Atherley's problems have been well documented, not only on the show, sorry, I'm going to get you fired there, Johnny, on my show, but we've covered as a brand, you know, the goings on there. So it's a good fit. He's a young coach. He's a hungry coach. He's got very, very, very good contacts within the game, and I think he'll utilise them. Will he keep Atherley up? I don't know, because I think Atherley, and I don't mean again any disrespect to Renfrew, but I think Atherley Renfrew potentially are going to find it very difficult next season in the Premier League.
Des, what do you think?
I think it's a good appointment, and it's also been planned. Obviously, we've seen Kevin's statement earlier on today, and for Willie to be appointed so quickly, so it's also been something that's been in the wheels have been in motion, so we can't do that. Regarding Renfrew staying up, do you know what? I just want to be Club 13.
I love that for you, mate.
Quite right, Des. Quite right. And then you can get the top on again when you're trying to stay up. Another kind of managerial departure that happened last week, kind of strangely, was Peter's Hill. We spoke about it in the show yesterday. Des, it was just weird timing, isn't it? I don't know what's going on there, but strange timing to leave with 1 game to go.
I wish he'd stayed.
I was going to say whatever's good enough for Derek McInnes is good enough for Peter's Hill.
Oh, that's
true. I wish he stayed. Yeah, it was very strange. 1 game to go. I don't get it. Again, like Atherley have went in and appointed a new manager so quickly. I'm assuming that Peter's Hill must have somebody in mind.
Just to be controversial, am I allowed to put a name out there?
Of course.
Go for it. We encourage that.
No.
I think Colin Riley will apply for that, and I think Colin Riley might get that.
I think that'd be a good job for Colin.
Yeah, I do. And I know Colin watches the show, so I'm maybe expecting my phone to go in 5 minutes, go, Paul, we did. But I think Peter's Hill would be a great fit for Colin. And again, he's got good contacts. I think he would interview really well. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
PG?
Interesting. I don't know why McNeil would leave the week before the season finishes. I wonder if there's more to it, or if he just went, it doesn't matter, we're gone. But I don't know. It's knowing McNeil, like I played against McNeil for years and stuff, and he's a really good guy, and I'd imagine he would I would have thought he would have wanted to have stayed to say proper goodbyes to the players at the end of the season. I mean, they couldn't get promoted. They had a reasonable-ish season, probably a bit disappointing for them, but not a terrible season. It's a strange one for me, but I'm disappointed for McNeil because I really like him, and I think for a daft goalie, he did a decent job, to be fair.
I don't have many good goalie managers, do you?
Come on, you man, the daft goalie. Did Palmer go with him, guys?
I don't know.
I think he did. Yes, I think he did. I might be wrong, but I think he did. Okay, if we go down the divisions, Fanart manager's leaving as well at the end of the season. I saw that. I saw he was Sean Kenny gave him a bottle of vodka on to kind of wish him well on his way. And also our friend of the show, Josh Gardner, left Rossvale, which was a bit of a shock. PG, it was a bit of a shocker to see Josh leave.
I don't think that's a shock.
Well, not a shocker. I mean,
to be fair, I've obviously talked to Josh all the time. I was surprised when it came out this morning. I've not spoken to him this week, and I was surprised when it came out this morning because I don't want to say too much, but I think that Rossvale are very set at where they are, and I don't think that we'll see Rossvale looking for promotion anytime soon.
I think
that they're completely, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful because I think this could be said about a lot of clubs. They're completely amateur in the sense that they don't have money. They don't have anything. I mean, the fact that they've had the same strips for like 3 or 4 seasons, and it's just a club who are. I think it's just about surviving at this level and trying their best to do the best they can do. And I think that maybe Josh's his aims and goals are probably a wee bit higher than what the club can provide. So I think that I know Josh like I do. I think that's one of those ones where it's probably best for both parties that he does walk away. But I'm really hoping, and I don't say this just his mate, but I'm really hoping that he doesn't fall into the category where people forget about him and he doesn't get a job because he deserves a job. I think that he deserves a good job. Yeah. And I think that he has more about him in terms of coaching than a lot of guys at this level. So I think that I'm hoping he's not going to just disappear.
It's interesting. We've got a comment here for Craig, and it's just kind of you've timed it well there. PG just saying, is there anything wrong with teams knowing their level? Often accused of lack of ambition, however, they also need to be realistic. Paul, I would say I can agree with that entirely. But if you need a manager that aligns with your views as well.
So Josh, PG's hit it in the head there. Rossvale will seem to be quite happy, just plodding away in the 4th division, and Josh has obviously got aspirations to go higher. Just a wee bit of funniness. Do you guys like the McDonald's fillet of fish?
He's going to be raging with you.
I don't care. Does anybody go to McDonald's for a fillet of fish?
No.
Josh Gardner does. Who would have thought Josh Gardner is a fillet of fish guy?
To be fair, that's quite continental. That's quite continental.
Delete him out my phone now.
You go to a fish shop for fish and chips, don't you?
I know.
No, you kidding me? I went and bought a fish supper about a couple of weeks ago. £14.
You have to get it on tick to get a special fish supper there.
£14 for a fish supper.
Your fish and chips on Klarna, know what I mean? No, back to what we were saying. Listen, Josh. I know Josh well. He's wanting to go and do good things with the teams that he's involved in. He's got aspirations to go higher and all. I know that. And that's probably been the basis of his decision. He's decided, you know what, if your guys' aspirations don't align with mine, then I'll get to. That's probably the be all and end all of it.
Yeah. And Des, just final word on that. We'd like to see Josh in our club because we know him well. We know what he can do.
Absolutely. I think we know Josh. He's obviously very, very well clued up in what he does. I think obviously down in the south of Scotland, he's come up here to Rossvale. I think what Josh has to do is he has to pick his next club correctly. And do you know what? See if he's going to go up towards like a Premier League team. And you guys shoot me down if I'm wrong. Does he maybe not go in as a coach or as an assistant manager? Or does he Does he want to be on his own? Because
I think he wants to do his own job.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
It's hard to say because we know that there's going to be casualties between the now and excuse me. There's going to be casualties between the now and maybe let's maybe use the first June as a basis because that's when the last competitive game of the season's played, right? There'll be casualties after that. There'll be jobs that will come up. There'll be jobs that Josh will apply for. I know that 100%.
Do you think there'll be jobs in the Premier League that is going to come up?
Aye, there will be. Right?
I don't think he struggles to get one though because he is not in the merry-go-round. You need a club to get a chance.
Merry-go-round. Aye, so you need. It's not. I don't think it's snobbery. I just think that it's the same old roundabout. I'm really curious to see where Chris Strain's going to go, right? Because I know Strainey said to me he wanted a wee break. I bumped into him at a game. Says, look, I'm just wanting a wee break now. Now it's been 3 or 4 months. Strainey, that's enough of a break, mate. That's enough. Get back to it. I'd be really, and listen, it might not even be the West. It might not, you know. For me, Strainey could probably step up, but I'm curious to see where Strainey goes. I'm curious to see where Fez goes, because I've got loads of time for both of them. I think Fez might go to a higher up club, and we all know Fez has got the aspirations for obviously doing his licence and stuff, being involved with the 20s setup, the 18s setup, and the Scotland national team. But these are guys that are currently out of jobs at the moment, and if other jobs come up, then it'll be interesting. I heard rumours that Strainey might be for Paul, but Paul, are where they are at the moment, and it's not fair to really say that, because obviously he's Maxie's in a job still. You hear all these daft things through the grapevine. I don't know.
Yeah, no, definitely be interesting to see what happens.
Chris knows where he's going. A lot of his players have made the move already.
I know.
Listen, regarding managers' jobs, I don't care. Quiggs is staying.
That's it, mate. That's all that matters. That's all that matters, right? Just wrapping up a couple of comments just on the chat there. Craig's asking for thoughts on Johnston Borough v Trinent. We did talk about it at the start of the show, so you'll have to go back and rewatch or listen on audio. I've also got a wee comment here for James. Just James McCauley talked about how we kind of tend to talk about the same players, same managers during the week. Smaller clubs need more kind of coverage. Listen, I absolutely agree with you, James, but see when we get to this stage of the season, we're looking at promotions and relegations and teams that are up there, so it does tend to be the kind of same teams. We don't tend to talk about the middle of the road teams as much, but make sure you're tuning in at the start of next season when everybody's on an even keel.
I had Ross Cusick and Daryl Miko on, and the 4th division manager my last week.
Oh, definitely. I've had loads of 4th division managers on the show as well. But listen, next season when everybody's on an even keel, we'll get all the teams covered, and we'll definitely be doing our best to absolutely cover as many teams as we possibly can. Listen, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Craig's asking about transfer rumours, saying somebody that sounds like Time could be on his way to one of Johnny's old teams. To be fair, that could be about 25 teams across the west of Scotland that somebody could be on their way to. So I'm assuming he's maybe talking about David Syme, maybe going back to Troon, but we can talk about that on another time. Lads, thanks very much for coming along tonight and giving me your time on Sunday evening to recap the final weekend of the West of Scotland Football League season. I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.
What are we going to do now?
You're more than welcome.
To be fair, if you could go into our Twitter and go and look at a live night, go and buy your tickets for a night. Right, we've got less than 2 weeks to go, so make sure you go and buy your tickets for that, for Meet the Managers. If you are a fan of Clydebank, you could potentially be looking at the first manager who's ever taken a team from the West into the Lowland League. You get a chance to speak to him off in the question and answer section of the show, or a Pollock fan, or a Drum fan. Get yourself in, buy tickets for it. And also, for you three, see if you want to do interviews with anybody through the summer. Fill your boots.
Oh, listen, I said as well, if anybody's got any ideas for any content over the summer, again, interviews, whatever, I'm happy to throw out some kind of transfer shows and things like that, definitely. But thanks to everybody that's tuned in, watched the show tonight. Remember, you can rewatch it on YouTube if you want. The comments and the questions, thanks to everybody over the course of the last few weeks or the last few months since I've kind of been taking the reins for PG. I really appreciate all your engagement. It's been interesting, to say the least. Being in the host chair and doing it live has been an added caveat. Thankfully, we've not had so many issues, too many issues, apart from when Des was on. So I think it might have been Des's fault. So, but I really appreciate.
Blame me, it's fine.
I know. I really appreciate everybody getting involved and making this show as enjoyable and as fun as it's been over the last few months. And I look forward to picking it up again next season. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. We get about 400 or 500, sometimes more viewers every week. It'd be great to see the like numbers going up and up and up. It helps us a lot. Subscribe to the Pyramid Promotions channel. You can get all the shows on there. Saturday Football Live. PG and Des will be in the studio normally. Paul will have his WSFL build-up, and we've also got Football League and Scottish Premiership shows as well. So loads of great content there. And if you want to help us out and become a member, that will be really appreciated as well. If you're listening on audio form, remember, rate and review on your podcast app. That helps us a lot as well. So, lads, final week of the season, 33 games over Friday and Saturday, 132 goals. Works out exactly 4 goals per game on average in the West of Scotland Football League. So, as we say every week, if you're looking for value for money, get a tenner out your wallet, go and find your local West of Scotland Football League team and go and support them, because I'm sure they'll appreciate it. I don't know when I'll see you next, but I look forward to it anyway. Thanks again, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.
Wait, Johnny, before you finish, are the Forays able to go to the cup final next week?
So I've got my own cup final, mate.
Boo you, man. Johnny, you free?
No.
Des, me and you again then, mate.
2
weeks, sorry, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks, the 1st of June.
I'm going to the
senior cup final. The junior cup final?
The 1st of June.
1st of June, sorry.
I've been asked to do behind the scenes stuff at it by the SJFA, so I'll be there anyway.
I will be in Bellamadina.
Oh, you're in holiday, aren't you?
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm in the week after that.
Paul, we'll do a vlog at the junior final.
Right.
Yes, I think we will.
Right, brilliant. Top man, top men. Love it. Brilliant. See you all soon. Cheers.
Right, guys, catch you later.